Well, this week on the program, anyone who's listened to us would know that we've had a very spirited debate about pensioners in this country, governments trying to get their hands on assets, particularly Andrew Bolt's suggestion about an assets test on the family home, which I don't believe any government will ever introduce. But what happened in the budget to pensioners? Now, what the government's got to realise, particularly the coalition, is that they can no longer just take for granted the fact that the pensioners will vote Conservative, that they'll vote for Tony Abbott and the coalition. There are plenty of lobby groups around. We often talk to Seniors Australia, but there's a new lobby group on the scene, and you will have heard them advertise on our radio station plenty of times, 50 Up Club. I'm a member of the 50 Up Club. It is a group that has a very loud voice, and because of its numbers, which I'll find out from Christopher Zinn in a moment what the numbers are, they can lobby power companies. You've heard the ads in regard to switching your power from one company to another. The range is everywhere. You can, if you've got a loud enough voice, you can get things changed. If you have no voice, nothing will get changed. So you'll start to hear the 50 Up Club making more noise about issues such as pensioner rights. Christopher Zinn's on the line. How are you?
Yes, very well, thank you, Steve.
Is that right? I mean, the default position often has been to go to an organisation like Seniors Australia, but you have paid up, signed up, and you know who these people are. They are people over the age of 50 who want to have a voice.
There's 120,000 of them, but they're not paid up because there's actually no cost to use it at all. Exactly. It's free. Just go to 50upclub.com. But it's right. There's two things. One, we try and use that purchasing power of the group power to get better deals and insurance and utilities and that kind of thing. But my side of being involved is the advocacy because, look, there's 120,000 people in this group. Australian seniors have great expertise. I wouldn't take that away from them as a sort of lobby group. But I'm not sure that these 50 Ups regard themselves as seniors. Some of them are very active and very savvy. So
like me. Exactly.
And, some of them have done very well, and some of them can look very carefully and critically at what can be done. And we've got huge, I say we because I'm in this cohort as well, we've got huge political clout. We don't vote as a particular bloc necessarily, as you just said. But, everyone's keeping an eye. Retirement incomes were, key to the budget. There's going to be a lot more debate. We've got to make sure that the interests of the 50 Up, and it's pretty widespread, are actually looked up to. And, with this club, we give a voice to people in terms of various surveys we do, and we take the results of that straight to Canberra, straight to the people who count. And actually there's some fantastic ideas that we can source from this massive crowd of people who have a lot of wisdom over their many years.
One of the interesting things that came out of the budget, I think, was when governments and oppositions start talking about fiddling with superannuation in particular and pensions and how many assets you can have above a certain limit over your family home before you have the pension cut out on you, the overwhelming mood that I pick up on Talkback on 2GB is, look, I've worked since I was in my late teens. I've paid taxes all my life. I've never taken a cent from the government of any sort of benefit. Now you're telling me that all of what I worked toward and all the rules I worked under are suddenly going to be pulled from under me.
And that is echoed very much in the comments. I mean, the comments people, submit to 50 Up as interesting as any surveys that give percentage figures, and that one comes really through because, again, there's that independence. We did what we didn't want to rely on government. We didn't want to rely on the pension. We did it. But it's one, we see you fiddling with the rules, but two, it is the uncertainty of what lies ahead, and particularly the situation now we have Labor saying, look, we're going to, target super. We've got the coalition saying, well, it's the pension eligibility. And there are many people who do not regard themselves as rich, who really object to being put in the category of being rich and well off because they might be better off because they have foregone consumption at a younger age to save up to enjoy or at least have a comfortable independent retirement.
Well, that's right. And compulsory superannuation kicked in the early 90s. A lot of these people we're talking about who are sort of 60 and over and 65 and over didn't have the luxury of superannuation. That became a forced saving after Keating introduced it. And so, under 55, there is some super sitting there. But the rest of those people were very proud to become self-funded retirees. scrimped and saved, paid off their house, traded up, perhaps made some money out of a real estate play, kept the capital gains of selling the family home and moved it into a bigger house, put a lot of money in the bank, didn't take big trips overseas, didn't buy fancy cars, and they're saying, well, I've funded my own retirement, don't now start hacking into what I thought I could get.
Yeah, now, as a result of the budget changes, we see people caught in a paradox where actually they do take holidays now to bring their assets below a certain level.
Well, there's a woman on page one of the Financial Review today who's decided to go off on a trip to the Arctic Circle because she needs to spend $25,000, otherwise she loses her pension.
Exactly, and I mean, one of the other paradoxes is that we're in an environment of very low interest rates. People who put money in the bank and expect to live off that now have to invest, as Glenn Stevens from the Reserve Bank has said. They've got to move into riskier product areas to invest in. For that, you really need advice. But, of course, getting financial advice that you can trust isn't straightforward at all. So, I think in many ways they're between a rock and a hard place, and that's why getting together with a bunch of other people, sharing information and intelligence can help you navigate your way through.
What's the best way for people to have a look at what 50 Up Club offers?
Well, look, go to 50upclub.com, and that's 50 with the letters 50, not the numerals, 50upclub.com.au. Have a look. We do blogs. Join up. As I said, there's no cost or obligation. We'll send you a newsletter every week or so. You can see what the offers are, but I think it's interesting to see, one, what kind of advocacy we're doing on your behalf, but two, the comments of your other peers in that 50 Up Club, to me, add a lot of energy because you can really hear. I mean, one of the other things, they're very down on politicians lecturing them about super when the pollies, of course, get a gold-plated super. But you get some real common sense from people, as I say, who've been around the blocks a bit.
Good stuff. I'll catch you up with you next week. Thanks a lot, Christopher.
Thank you, Steve.
Hi.